I always wanted to be an armored soldier ever since I was 12, and I deployed September 08 to Afghanistan.
What was going on in Afghanistan in September of 08?
A lot of fighting. We rotated through like 3 different main tasks. Physical operations, where you're getting deployed outside to do whatever mission. Mm-hmm. The other one would be quick reaction. So if there was like an IED strike, or someone got into a fight or something like that where they need a little bit of backup, that would be the first group to punch out and help. And then you do security. We did a lot of stuff with like cordoning off villages for the elections that were happening in 08. And then it turned into more looking for like ID factories and trying to ease the passage of other forces through our area of operation, whether that be like securing an area that they know might be a little hostile, or moving guys in to do like a relief in place. So if they're in like a more forward kind of outpost, we would go out there so they wouldn't get banged up on the way out. Essentially what it sounds like, you'd make a big giant ring of steel with armor, and you'd have one looking in, one looking out, every other vehicle all the way around, and then you'd send the guys on foot to the center, and hopefully they can be successful in what they're trying to do, and then they come out and we move on. Bringing guys into those outposts were pretty difficult. You're basically getting bumped, hit, target, tick, whatever. Troops in contact, they shoot at you, you shoot back again. So we were supposed to come back in March, but got extended because another unit actually had sustained a lot of injured casualties, stuff like that, on the group coming in to replace them. I actually knew quite a few guys that were killed that week, and we actually had to go up there and essentially just make a ring of iron around this forward operating base, so they'd stop getting attacked from the hills. It was in the end of March. I think it was supposed to be our last mission. Going in, find some bad guys. We were kind of waiting on the outskirts, letting infantry dudes take care of stuff, and they ended up getting pinned down. As that's kind of unfolding, I'm listening to the radio, and I hear from the vehicle next to us that they kind of got a glimpse of some anti-armor weapons moving in towards where those guys were getting kind of pinned down. And so when that happened, we basically got the order to get ready to move. So everyone's kind of getting ready and stuff like that. And then I just remember these guys he's basically the leader of the entire show over there, screaming and swearing over the radio for them to drop bombs because they wouldn't make it out if they didn't. Oh, and the pilots didn't want to drop them because they were so close. And it was basically like we have guys coming in on each side of us now. We need some air support. So they ended up just doing danger close missions, and so they started coming out. And when they came out, they actually hit an IED or stepped on one, and there was a number killed and injured. So we basically, move. So we started punching in, and right as we were about to go through this ditch, I had seen women and children running out of this grape hut, which is like textbook, something's gonna happen. And just as I yelled out a contact order and started to shift my platform left, that we rolled into the ditch and hit an IED. I was the gunner, so I had my face in my sights, so it felt like I just got smacked in the face by who knows what, but it was so quick I didn't even know what happened. I woke up and I was actually in the commander's seat behind me. And I just remember coming to, and I looked around, it was really dusty, wondered where the crew commander was because I was sitting in the seat. So I immediately jumped down into my position where I should have been, and tried to start pulling everything back online. And right around then, as my loader got up off the ground on the other side of the gun, And right about then is where we heard all the direct fire from machine guns ricocheting off the vehicle. And I just started yelling over to him about that anti-armor gun that we had seen moving out. And we need to get the hell out because obviously they wanted us to stop right here. Mm-hmm. We're actually blocking the rest of the guys behind us so no one could actually come in to help. So while I'm trying to get the driver sorted out to get the vehicle moving, the commander actually finally jumped in the vehicle behind me. I'm like, everything's dead. The sights are all blown out. I can't see anything. Like, the stuff's jammed. Can't move. I just remember the vehicle finally started up and we were just told to keep going. And we kind of pushed into like a secondary, safer area. And that kind of took the attention away from the guys that were going in to kind of help. I was happy when I got home. I was a little stiff in the morning, but I was 22. So by this point, I was about a couple of weeks from the last paper being signed and being officially out of the military. When you go through, you sit down with Veterans Affairs and they go through, your paperwork to kind of put you in from the Department of National Defense into the Veterans Affairs system. I think they're obligated to at least eject you at the same fitness level as when you went in.
Right.
So, okay, so be it. And when I came home, I had my file transferred to a local case manager, and we started going through, what I would be entitled to with compensation for like earnings loss and stuff like that while I'm going through this evaluation process to figure out if and what was wrong from that explosion. So that's when I started the whole Veterans Affairs process. Yeah, early 2011. Yeah. In my whole 5 years, I think there was really only a handful of real briefings on the topic of Veterans Affairs. We were just told that don't worry, anything that happens will be taken care of. It took quite a long time, probably 4 to 6 months or so before I started getting into like physiotherapist offices and doctors' offices and stuff like that. Just from going back and forth with getting started in the program, and they found a few things in my back, a few things in my neck, my left knee. I ended up having surgery on a year after that. Went through some MRIs, and they ended up finding a brain injury, and I ended up going through about 12 MRIs and about 6 CT scans.
Wow.
Over a 3.5 year period. And yeah, basically it's brain injury, whiplash, myofascial problems in my back, muscles don't fire properly, arthritis through my whole back. I had a major knee reconstruction, not replacement, thank God. So I didn't really listen, probably how I should have from the start. And until one morning, I woke up and I couldn't get out of bed.
Oh no!
I was
and
as stiff as a board.
How long after you were released from the military did that happen?
It was about 7 months or so. Right around when like physio started pushing around in my back and things really started flaring up, and I was having headaches every day. And
oh my gosh!
It got really. I was in quite a little bit of pain there for a while. And then, so I basically started going through the claim process at that point for all these injuries. The first one came back, everything was denied. So this would have been like 2012. At this point, I've been getting treatment, I'll say that in quotations because it wasn't effective, for about 6 months at this point.
What kind of treatments were you getting? Was physiotherapy?
I was doing physio, chiropractor, acupuncture, massage, social and psychologist.
Right.
Treatment. I had been to the on recommendation from a couple veterans, go up to the stress clinic to get evaluated. see what the doctors say. So I ended up doing that, and basically once all the paperwork was put together and sent away, the only thing that came back was, okay, you could possibly have PTSD. We'll give you whatever for that, 2% or whatever you get to say like there might be something. And then the rest was denied. So I'm looking at writing my paperwork up for the third time, which would be the exact same it was the first 2 times. It was obvious that I had a brain injury. There's a cyst on my brain. Can't miss it. The, we'll call it report, said there's no evidence of anything that would have caused such injuries during your deployment. And I'm like, I'm reading this, and the next line is like evidence used, and it's post-blast assessment from IED March 2009. The treatments for 4-5 years almost was show up on this day on this side of the city, do a half-hour treatment, poke and prod, see you next week. Okay, what do I do for the next week to keep this progress? What's the plan? What's the, what are we doing here? And and then I'd have to go to the other side of the city and do this appointment, then the other side of the city and do that appointment. It'd be the same thing. See you next week. See you next week. And there's no structure, plan. What are we going to do here? What things can I change in my life to make, the best of the situation? None of that.
How much of your life did that take up? The number of trips and the number of therapists? 2-3 days a week, or?
Yeah, 2 to 3 days a week when I first started.
It doesn't leave you a lot of time to live your life, does it?
No, that was another barrier to getting a job. No one would hire someone that's gone 3 of the 5 work days.
I remained just like a constant support for him, right? That's all, at that point, that's all I could really do. There was nothing I could say that would make it go away. So just, I was continuously there for him. We had decided to move in together at that point. So I guess just being together all the time, right? And listening to him vent without taking it personally.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah.
That's important. And he has someone to help him get out of bed.
Yeah.
When you're here.
Yeah, she actually experienced that.
Yeah,
it was long ago.
Yeah. He got up and he could not bend whatsoever.
We have this new veteran-centric clinic up in London that's going to specifically be tailored individually to the veteran, but only the first responder veteran community kind of thing. So I was like, well, that could kind of be good. And I kind of picked his brain on am I going to be driving to London 3 days a week because I'm already getting drained and Windsor's only 30 minutes.
Right.
And he essentially said, no, it would be like a one-stop shop kind of whatever the doctor would say for interval-wise. And so I decided to give it a shot. I was a little apprehensive at first because not really any luck with anything at this point. Mm-hmm. And the first day was just spent hooked up to little sensor things on this TV screen doing range of motion testing, and they pulled all my medical records and stuff like that and started going through exactly what needed to happen to kind of get to, break everything down and get to the root cause and try and fix what they could or limit, for any further injuries or, degrading or anything like that. So
you're talking about our clinic.
Yep. So that kind of started that whole, process. And that was March of this past March, I mean. And it was once a month at first, which was pretty, I was pretty tired after 5 years of not really doing much, hard physical fitness wise. Going in there and getting adjusted and, forced back into alignment and doing all these exercises for muscles that hadn't been fired since 2009, and I had no idea. I felt like I did something for the first time in a while, so I was kind of like, maybe they're onto something here. And when I went back, I actually sat down with Mike and
Mike Fialco.
Yeah. And I basically said, listen, like, it obviously worked. I was really sore, but I'm not just going to come up here and find out what I'm going to do every day. Like, we need to sit here and be like, okay, we're going to do this, then we're going to do this, and this, we're going to, it's going to take this long. These are the steps we're going to take. And on top of that, like, what am I going to have to do with Veterans Affairs and tell them now I have this third-party clinic? Like, is this just going to make my life worse? And he essentially said, no, bring your file and we'll take care of everything. So I dropped my file off and I never dealt with Veterans Affairs ever again. It was all the clinic. And it actually blew my mind at first. I didn't think it was possible. I was already approved for like the physiotherapy and stuff like that.
Sure.
But they basically went in and broke it down for him, saying, okay, we're at one clinic, these are all the services he's getting, this is why he's getting them, these are the timelines, whatever they do behind the scenes that they got him not dealing with. And so things started slowly getting approved, and all of a sudden, okay, now we're gonna get you orthotics and a knee brace for your post-surgery knee, and get your glasses taken care of, and your mileage for driving. So I was like, okay, well, actually, you're trying to do something for me now, which is awesome. I was really angry for a while until things really started coming together. But
I usually join him for the full day. They let me come in. It's quite nice, actually.
Yeah, it's laid back. You see a lot of Army guys in the waiting room, guys you haven't seen in a while, just, whether they're on your task force or familiar faces just from different places you've been. So that's kind of cool. It's not a typical doctor's office. I mean, there's a gym there. They have equipment that only the Toronto Blue Jays have, I think it was. So, I mean, it's cutting edge, to say the least. Yeah.
Has it made you feel better?
Yeah. I kind of want things fast, like results faster than I get them. I've been going since March at essentially the same stage in the recovery, just getting limitations slowly removed so I can do other things. But until they can get all these muscles firing again, I can't.
You won't be considering yourself well?
Yeah, so I see osteopath, physiotherapy, kinesiology, physiotherapy, nutritionist, social work, psychologist, and massage therapy.
And you do that all in one day?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very, there's a plan, like you know where you're going. But it's been a very slow process, peeling back the layers of all the nonsense, getting to the root cause of, the injuries and stuff like that. So I've never had a problem where I've had to get people up to speed on what needs to happen, which was another problem before. It was, okay, where did we have you last week? And it's like, okay, there goes 10 minutes of my half an hour. It's like,
right.
Ding, ding, all this money getting spent, but there's no progress. So there it's like you go in and it's 30 minutes of treatment. They're not asking you how you've been. They know what you've been doing, and they can tell that you've been doing it or not. And as much as you put into it, you'll get out of it at this point.
Aside from it being a beautiful facility, I think everything's just laid out, it's clean, it's organized. The staff is super friendly. We'll walk in, we were in Carly's office last week and she was working on him, and there was a certain area in his back, so she followed us to the next appointment and she said, Ryan, this is an area where we are struggling with, can you work on this today? So there's that intercommunication, right, which helps create a full package.